A commentary over a boss kill is not something I would ordinarily do, but I feel like this one may actually call for it. And the reason I say that is because if you're 6 of 7 heroic in your guild and you're wanting to get ragged down, then you're probably watching 25-man heroic guides because that's pretty much all there is. So I'm going to show you from start to finish our full 10-man heroic Ragnaros kill, and I'm just going to talk over it and let you know exactly how we do it. And don't get me wrong, you've not got to copy exactly what you do, but it will at least give you a decent idea. There'll be times during a video where there's just nothing to say and you'll just be blessed with some copyright-free music. But I'll try and keep you as informed along the way as possible. While the pull timer's up, we're running a Blood DK main tank, Feral off tank, and a Holy Palian Disc Priest, and then just a decent mix of DPS. Over on the left side, we've got myself as an Ellie Shaman and a Hunter, baiting the traps, and over on the right, we've just got a lonely Disc Priest, keeping the tank up, while everybody else is just spread on the left side, with actually the Holy Paladin in the middle so he can reach everyone. Like you can see, we're baiting traps onto the edge, because we don't blow traps up at all. We do it in such a way that they take up such little of the platform that it kinda doesn't really matter. The main things to look out for is the smash when it's coming in and you get 3 waves go out in different directions. Just make sure you avoid them. And if you're doing what we're doing where you're taking the traps to the edge of the platform, so you drop essentially half the trap off the platform, the only thing you should be really looking out for is Wrath of Ragnaros. You can see at the moment it's got 25 seconds until it comes in again. This does a knockback, and if you get unlucky, you could get knocked into the trap or knocked off the edge, which is even worse. This is pretty much now just rinse and repeat. With our DPS, we see 3, maybe 4 traps absolute maximum. In all fairness, it's generally 4, so just be ready to drop 4 traps. Ideally, you want it over on the left side where your Disc Priest isn't, or in our case, where the Disc Priest isn't, because he doesn't quite have the luxury of being able to drop the traps as well as we do, because he's obviously having to focus on healing. But a credit to him, he actually did. As you can see now and again when the camera pans round, you can see he managed to get each trap off the edge of the platform as well. This just saves a lot of incoming damage that needs to be healed up, and ultimately when you get into the last phase, it's not going to last too long, and that'll become clear as we get there. But this is our last trap that the Hunter's just drop in now before we go into transition. Now, of course, you don't want any of these adds to hit the hammer. The way we set it up is I'm calling out on Discord a short side and a long side. So, of course, if the hammer drops on the right side, the short side would be the right, because that's where there's less space, and then the long side would be the left. When it drops in the middle, I'll call the short side as whichever one has got the least amount of adds. And we basically have 2 people designated to the short side all the time. And if there's more than 2 adds, I, as the Ellie Shaman, will help them first before I move on to the long side. And we even have our Holy Paladin helping on that short side as well, being able to put a stun out or even an AoE stun with Holy Wrath. When we go in phase 2, we're going to really slow this down. Of course, we could have markers down to show the 2 spots, but we took so many wipes to actually kill this, it kind of didn't matter. We just knew where we was going. But of course, you're going to want to stay stacked up, and as the seeds come in, you're going to want to move from one side of the platform to the other. When the seeds are about to explode, get an AMZ down if you've got a DK or an AM or a barrier or just whatever you've got really, but you want to then do a loose spread so the adds have got a minimal amount of buffs from standing near each other, and just get them all cleaved down or even single targeted down. You want to then move out before the flames come in and get ready to do the dance, because if you're all stacked up around the edge of the platform and then the flames start, you might not have time to actually get out. You do this little dance and then you're going to get ready to stack before the next smash comes in. Now, there's a couple of things to note while we're just doing the same thing again, and that's your melee. If they've not got a lot of AoE or cleave, it's just single target. You want them to really focus on the healer's adds first. Just get them deleted, and then, well, once they've killed their own, of course, and then they can really go and kill anyone that they want. But it's quite important to get it off the healers, especially if it's a cloth healer. Now, we could, because we've got enough DPS, actually push the boss into the next transition phase with only 2 lots of seeds. What we actually opted to do was hold DPS and make sure we done 3 seed phases. And I'll talk about that in a minute, and just tell you why. But we're basically going to just nuke all these adds down again, and then this is a bit of a dangerous one because you get a crossover, so you got to look for the smash. So anyone out at range is going to have to dodge those waves, and then very shortly after the flames come in. So you want to get these adds down as quickly as you can so you're all out, ready to dodge these waves. The other important thing to notice is after that smash went out, it does for a few seconds leave a patch of fire on the floor. So if you're all stacked behind the smash, just make sure you move around it when you move out and not through it, or you're probably going to die. But like you can see now, we've completely stopped DPS because we just want to get the boss really to the point where Foge's weak aura, what we use in this kill, shows its health. So we know it's then going to be on sort of 42 to 43%. And what our aim is once we kill the seeds, is to get it to 40% whilst it's doing the flames, where you're actually doing the dance across the platform. And that will be pretty obvious why in a second. And this is why we actually hold out for the third set of seeds. So we're now going to start cleaving because the flames are coming in very soon anyway. We're going to cleave the boss with all these little ads for as long as possible, clear all the ads up, and then when we get the flames and we're doing the dance, we want to send as much damage into the boss. And the reason for this is we want to get it as low as physically possible, so his health is as low as it can be for the next phase, because the next phase is really important. So normally it transitions at just over 40%, but of course by the time he does all of this bit where he's summoning the ads and that, he's already under 40%, then we get that extra bit of time to actually get him even lower, and those couple of percent that you get off of him really do matter as the fight goes on. So again, I'll be calling at the moment that the short side is on the right, and thankfully there is just one ad. So it'll be both the melee, it'll be the hunter, sorry, he's not a melee, it'll be the warrior and the rogue that's over on the right side on their own, and then it'll be all of us now just dealing with the left side. Now we want to leave one ad alive slowly walking towards the hammer, so we get maximum time to be able to nuke the two big scions down. The only things that you need to look out for here is the debuff that you saw me just get where you're dropping fire. You want to make sure you're constantly moving because one tick of it does a lot of damage and it's completely avoidable as long as you keep moving. Don't laugh at me in a minute when I get hit by somebody else's. But anyway, ignoring that completely. Also, just to add, it also heals any ads that walk through it. So you can see us dropping it at the side of the entrance. It's really important that it's dropped there because if you've got some ads down to like 10, 20% slowly walking towards the hammer, as soon as they touch that fire, they're going to rush to the hammer and you're going to wipe. Once you've got these two ads down, you can push, but you need to be watching the timer where you can see phase 3 starts and make sure all the small ads are killed by the time Ragnaros comes back up. Otherwise, you'll blow them up like they was to hit the hammer and you'll wipe. So it's absolutely fine to go into this phase with one scion on quite low health and just cleave it down with the boss, but you definitely don't really want to be taking any single target away from the boss because this is the most DPS important part of the entire fight. And the reason for that is the reason we push for 3 sets of seeds, and that's so we can get the boss as low as possible to try and push this phase with only getting one meteor. So you can see on my timers on the right side that meteor's coming in 10 seconds. And what's going to happen is a meteor's going to randomly attach to someone and you have to kite it. And then once it's hit, you obviously knock it back. Now, I'm trying to gloss over the normal mechanics a little bit because I'm kind of assuming if you're working on heroic, you probably know the basic mechanics of the fight or you already killed it on normal last week. So I'm trying not to go too much into detail on the normal mechanics. But we have our Holy Paladin dealing with this meteor. All he's going to do is knock it into the boss every 6 seconds when it's available to be knocked back. Occasionally, if it targets a melee, one of the melee are just going to use Heroic Throw or something like that to knock it towards the middle of the room. So again, the Paladin, being Flow Pala, can then knock it towards the boss. And he's going to be doing that all the time while we avoid the smashes and we do the Flame Dance and push the boss to 10% as quickly as possible. You can see there's 3 seconds left and the boss has already phased. So we managed to do it with 1 meteor. It's absolutely doable with 2, but what you'll see me do in a second is I'm going to set this diamond meteor as my focus because I'm going to be in charge of it in the next phase. Now in the middle of my screen you can see that orb that's glowing. That basically means the ad, the meteor, is affected by combustible, and that means it can be knocked back. So I use a focus weak aura and a focus macro, so whenever I've got a target focused and I press Frost Shock, it's going to Frost Shock my target. Now with the weak aura, I know I never need to switch target off of Rag because I'm going to use Frost Shock on the focus target and I can see whenever the focus target can be knocked back. If you want that weak aura or anything, just let me know on my Discord and I'll stick it in the weak aura's channel. Very basic, just a focus target macro and a focus target weak aura that shows a buff called combustible. Anyway, we're all going to stand in this ice patch and the druid, which was our off tank, is now going to be on flame duty. So he's going to pick up the cloud burst, which is now available, which is that bubble on the floor. He's going to go and right click on it. Now he can put out the dread flames. The dread flames come in with 2 patches to begin with, and they grow faster and faster as the fight goes on, and the time it takes for them to actually come in also gets shorter as well. So between the first and second set of patches, it will be like 45 seconds, then 35, then 30. So eventually you kind of get overrun, or it just makes it very difficult to manage. The only downside to actually doing the traps the way we do it is, even with the little room that they take up on the edges, you could get a little bit unlucky and flame spawns under them. We didn't actually get that happen when our traps were placed perfectly, but if that does happen, as long as the person who's using the cloudburst is keeping your general area completely clear, you can still get a kill. The room might just not look quite as clean as ours. So you can see we got rid of the meteor. The way you get rid of the meteor is by letting it walk in the ice patch. So we do it in a very specific order. Let me just take it back for a sec. So I'm knocking back the meteor every 6 seconds, and what we're waiting for is entangling roots to go off. So when entangling roots, or I should say entrapping roots, go off, there's going to be a green circle on the floor that you can see there. When the boss casts Empowered Sulphurous, he actually channels it, and once he's finished channeling it, anytime he does a melee attack, he wipes your raid. Literally as simple as that. So while he's channeling it, we have our DK DPS, so Hoyt DK, which is the unholy DK, goes out and taunts the boss, and then kites it into the entangling roots. At which point we let the first meteor, or the only meteor in this case, go into the ice patch and nuke it down, and we move to the next ice patch. Quite honestly, from here on out, it's a free kill. You'll see there's absolutely no stress in this whatsoever. We've got the Feral with Cloudburst just running around getting rid of any new flames that spawn. He's not even doing anything to the boss. There's kind of no need. He does come over and throw a few attacks in now and again, because he will be looking at his timer and know when the dread flame's coming in. I wouldn't recommend doing that until you're really comfortable with a fight, because you're better off just running around and always making sure as soon as you see one spawn, you're straight on it. But again, we've got the next roots now, so we're going to wait for the boss to start casting Empowered Ragnaros, or Empowered Sulphurous, should I say, and then our Unholy DK is going to run out. He's going to taunt it. You can see it's now targeting him. It's going to run over into the trap, and it's stunned. At this point, really, it's now taking 50% more damage. We've got no meteors. We've got no dread flame. Like, it's a kill. We're not really going to be moving anywhere else. We know it's going to be dead in 25 seconds, so we don't really need to worry about the next entrapping roots either. And this is just clean. So I'll let you see this out until the end. I've not really got a lot else to add. That is literally the entire fight. I think the main thing in the last phase is not to panic. Get rid of the meteors and don't try and do too many things at once. And what I mean by not doing too many things at once is, don't try and trap the boss and kill a meteor at the same time, because now you're taking damage either off of the boss while it's taking 50% more damage, or you're taking damage off the meteor to the point it might not die, and then you've got to deal with it in another ice patch. Always go in the first ice patch, wait for the roots, stun the boss, get some damage in on the boss whilst the meteor's actually coming into the ice patch, then kill the meteor, then get to the other ice patch. And if you're a DPS, or a ranged DPS, should I say, that can move while casting, it's the perfect time to actually be nuking the boss or the meteor, depending on what you're doing at the time, whilst moving to the other ice patch. And that's it. I didn't really want to cut the video up too much. I know there was a couple of cuts that you might have noticed, but that was just where I sort of had already still talking and gone past the bit that was relevant, so I've just took it back. But that was the entire kill from start to finish. You can literally mute me and just watch it and, take away whatever you want. I'm not saying it's a perfect strategy. It works for us. As I say, you saw how clean that was. There was no deaths, no need for a combat res. I mean, it works. So if you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe. If there's any bosses that you're struggling with that you'd actually like me to do this for, I've got footage of all of our kills, and with like convincing kills, not messy kills where it's like half the raid's dead. We've got solid tactics for all of them. And if you're getting stuck on Balrock, as an example, even in 25-man, I kind of got a really good way of doing that as well. But again, let me know in the comments if you like the video, like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.